Welcome back for another episode of SoulDay, fueling your mind, body, and soul with soulful conversations and life-changing insights. Today we welcome James Norman, a serial entrepreneur, investor, and pioneering technologist who founded his first company at age 16, MJH Sound, one of the earliest online car audio retailers. His path from automotive design to digital media has made him a recognized thought leader in OTT entertainment and consumer viewing behavior. As the founder and CEO of Pilotly, James leads the first market research platform built specifically for creative content, enabling research teams to gather rapid feedback from audiences at scale. Today, Pilotly provides insights to global companies like Amazon, Netflix, and more, acting as a platform of record for creative research. James's experience as an entrepreneur and building great companies with little funding fueled his passion to co-found Black Operator Ventures. Rooted in purpose, James has a deep commitment to advancing Black equity and impact. Let's welcome him to the show. Welcome to SoulDay, James.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I'm so excited to talk to you. I love talking to folks in tech. I know we share that commonality, but also just I love all the pivots that you've taken. And that's just such a common human experience, whether the pivots are our own that we want to take or they're kind of made for us.
Right.
I think it's such a common human experience. And you have gone from, hustling in Detroit, to this global influence. I'd love to talk about that. Just start there with your entrepreneurial journey, kind of hustling as a kid in Detroit, then building MJH Sound, which is one of the first online car audio retailers back in 1994, eventually transitioning into concept car design and then tech. Like looking back,
Mhm.
what was the through line concept, if you will, like through those early ventures to the leader and innovator that you are today?
I would say like the through line is probably I just like building things. Originally, I was born in Lansing, so I lived down the street from GM, so just used to being around cars. But over time, I lived a bunch of places as a kid, and everywhere I went, I was just always curious, like, how can I make money here? When you're like under 16-ish, it's not really possible for you to like get a normal job.
Yeah.
So you have to find, I remember when I was 12 years old, me and my buddy was going through the yellow pages, like, all right, I think these people will hire us. We call it like, what's your minimum age? And eventually, like after like 50 calls, like no one's gonna hire us. We gotta go make some money, right? Like, and so from that point on, like it just became something that really attracted my energy. Like, oh, we can solve that problem. We can do that. Particularly after we started building stuff online, I was like, well, shoot, I can make another website. Well, we can go help people make websites. Like, we can, there's all these different things that we can do now that we're using this technology. So, I would say like the through line has always been, up till probably I started doing my first real tech company. It's always been entrepreneurship and something more audio or car related. And that's because like, my dad is a big audiophile and my family like is in their DNA that they just really like cars. So like these are just things that I've always vied towards. Music as well. Like I have a very musical family, so I dove into music at different times. Like we tried to like do like a rap group when I was in high school. I was in upstate New York, like my brothers and stuff. And we tried everything. We sold tapes out the trunk, made a few $1,000s, like stuff like that.
Love that though. But where do you think that came from? Because like, did you have a lot of imprints of entrepreneurs, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit? Because
mhm.
that's another thing, to kind of touch on, like when you grow up in a place like Detroit, like you said, Jim's down the corner, it's like that's that environment. A lot of people work in factories. They kind
Yeah,
of
you
go
you
to
just see
doing,
people working hard.
yes.
So there's a hard working culture. So that's definitely like a component. But the entrepreneurship aspect of it, I think was just born out of like need. And it's funny, like not real need. It's not like I grew up like on food stamps or something like that, but like need in the sense that like I had like this visibility into other people's lives, and even like some people who were in my extended family who were over the time of my childhood building very successful careers. And so then like these people lived different, had different things. And I was like, how do you get these things? And my mom would just be like, we need money for that. I was like, well, how do I go get money? Right? Like I gotta have these things, right? So it was really born out of like me wanting to have things that I didn't have money for. And then I really enjoyed the motion of running business, making money, building things, and that just became the motion, right? So I could have just been, I was always gonna be an engineer since I was like 6. My mom told me, oh, like the things you like to do, you be an engineer. I'm like, cool. So like I've been on that track since I was 6. So it's building things. But I've always done it in the context of business, not like random tinkering or like research or something like that. So it's probably just it's something that's just endemic in me. Like, and I directed it in the direction of making money because I wanted things. I was also influenced by the people around me, people in the streets, rap music, hip hop. I'm influenced by all of it. So all I'm seeing and all I'm hearing every day is get the money. So I get the money. You know what I mean? Like I'm influenced by that. When I get older, I realize the piece of it that is probably rooted in like my family is uh I like building things that change people's lives, and then ultimately I really like helping people, right? So there was some inflection point at some point where maybe I didn't reach a height of success that I wanted with a particular company or project. But I kept doing it. I was like, why do I keep doing this? So I'm not getting the output I want. But I was like, oh, I'm actually really passionate about this goal of I know once I make this much money, I'm gonna be able to go this. I'm gonna be able to go do this for these people, right? So, even though I was trying to get to this big payday, um, the real goal was for me to have the resources to go off and do things for people that I thought needed it. So I kind of reframed like, you know, my energy around what I'm going towards, you
Yes.
um,
But I think that's important too. It's
yeah,
like understanding you and what your drivers are, and also like what gives you energy, what kind of depletes it. And initially, it's interesting
right.
to talk to. Say that again.
I was saying that's correct.
Yeah.
Like, chasing just the money depletes the energy. Chasing the outcome of what the money does gives me energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even initially, it could be the driver, right? That gets you energy. But
Could
then once
be.
you attain it, then it starts to deplete you because you're like, I'm able to do what I need to do. Maybe you didn't hit the exact number, but
Right. You
you
got
have a lot more
something.
movement now.
Right. You have a lot more movement now. You have things you need.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, like the carrot's different, but like
Yes, that's
in the end of the day, uh, yeah, my parents are social workers, right?
mhm.
And they're not just like people working a job, like they're established people in their communities. And they build things to help people. That's what they do. So like that's like the through line for me, of why I do the things I do.
Love that. Thank you for that because I love your honesty too. Because a lot of people they never admit that the money is the driver initially, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, and even if it's your driver today, like money allows you to do things not just for yourself, but for others. And so I
Hmm.
don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the greed around money, and power
Hmm.
is the issue. So I appreciate your transparency and honesty around that because, like I said, a lot of people just wouldn't admit that.
Yeah. And I will say one more thing though.
Yeah,
You
please.
are like when you do reframe that and like you are moving the way I move, like you do have to be cautious around knowing your value. You know
Yes,
what I mean? Because the money doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean I shouldn't be compensated for the things I do. So I do have to kind of like sometimes I have friends like I brought a friend on a phone call. So it's like he's crazy. Like, I call him my crazy white guy. So I brought him on the phone call with me and I was like, he didn't even know why he was there. I was like, can you join this call with me with these people? I was like, I'm gonna talk to him about this crazy AI thing I'm gonna do next year. And you should help me out. He's like, all right, cool, cool. He gets on the call. He's like, I don't know why I'm here with James. I'm supposed to be here, so I'm here. And I was talking to him about the concept we were going to do. I was like, hey, you guys should partner up with us, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, all right, sounds good, but we need some proof points. Like, we should really pilot this. Like, maybe we could put like 5 or 10K. He was like, hold on, hold on. He's like, I took time on my day, I talking about 5 or 10K. Like, do you know who me and James are? Like, we got to be talking 6 digits, or I just can't be involved in this conversation. Like we have proof, all the proof points are there. That's how he got here. This is why I'm in the conversation. Everything he says he's going to do, he's already done before. He's already proven it. Now we're just doing it at a better scale. I'm a part of it. I'm gonna bring in this, and this to the table, but I'm not bringing anything to the table or have this conversation. We're not talking about six digits, right? Like that's just the way you approach that conversation. Now, I couldn't have said it with the same words. It would be received differently from my mouth. But like the point is that like I could have easily walked out that conversation and be like, sure, I'll do that. I'll go help some people. They'll pay for it, and then we can come back and revisit this conversation. But he's like, no, that's literally a waste of time. Like you've already proven your ability to do these things, so why are you even letting these people like tell you like, oh, let me see one more proof point. You know what I mean? So like I watch out for those things as well. Like just trying to know what is the value in the equation when I'm talking to people, and then just being, then you have to be willing to stand on business and be like, all right, well, the value is not a match, so therefore, like whatever.
That is such a gem for our audience. And if you didn't catch it, like you need to rewind and watch it again. That is such a gem. And I think so many of us, shout out to your friend or, whoever
Hmm.
is you, because, I find that especially people of color get put in this position so often where we're constantly having to prove ourselves and prove ourselves over and over and over, even though the proof is already there and laid
Right.
out. And so the fact that you're like, yeah, I'm checking that now. Like I'm checking like my, that's such a gem for our audience, and even for myself, like I am now at a point where I know me, and I
Hmm.
know what I bring to the table. And if there's not alignment, there's just not alignment,
Right.
and I'm like, and that's okay. Like,
Mhm.
somebody I might get 100 no's, but I'm definitely gonna get my yes.
Yeah.
So, and that's just how I move. That's how I moved
Mhm.
when I first jumped into tech. I got like, man, I got a company in my big company that basically told me, do not contact us anymore. Like, we will contact you if we think you're a fit because I was so, just
Right.
relentless, but I got to my one yes, and I literally only got a one yes, and that was tune in. Shout out to tune in, and
Oh,
then
that's cool. What year were you there?
oh gosh, 2012. I had to think back really quick.
Okay, I wonder. 'Cause my friend Dante, he was over there. Dante Rayford, he was there for a little bit
Oh,
doing
get
business
out.
strategy. But yeah. No, a couple people who was over there.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, no, but I love that. And I think that's such a great, takeaway for our audience because so many times we'll get in these situations where, and it can be even in a friendship, it doesn't even have to even just be in business where you're constantly having to prove yourself over and over. You got to know yourself, know what you
Hmm.
bring to the table. So I love that. Speaking of money, and I know we kind of talked about this the first time we connected. You've spoken pretty candidly about the unique challenges Black founders face in raising capital for their
Hmm.
companies. Tech in particular, you and I are both in tech, we see it time and time again. Like, even when the product is strong, even when you have those proof points, contracts signed, et cetera, milestones hit, like, what have, I guess, like, what's been the most defining moment for you in navigating those barriers? Because I see so
Oh,
many founders.
there is no like most defining moment. Like I can tell you, like,
Oh,
I remember when I first got to the Valley. I did a pitch thing for a bunch of folks. I was always a naturally impressive person. Like, I'm an engineer. I've been building companies for a long time. Like, I'm not going to get up on stage and talk about nothing, right? But like, a lot of times it could be too much. Like, it's too technical. It's too much information, right?
for their
So
head.
over the heads. I was not. I'm thinking. This was back when I thought to myself, like, I always thought to myself, I work really hard so I can learn things and know things, and other people work really hard too, so they know things. So like if I can know it, they can know it. And like it took me a while to realize like that's just not true. Like at some point, like I need to kind of put stuff on the table that people can actually digest. So anyways, I walked out of that room. I remember Mike Seibel, he's the head of YC for a long time.
Mhm.
Um, he was like, "Yo, that was really interesting, and like I get it, but like I know it because I'm in the media business to some degree, and I know all these terms, boom, boom, boom. Everybody else is like, he's like, this deck needs to be like 5 slides. Like you're boiling the ocean, you're trying to tell me everything. He's like, don't tell everybody everything, you'll never get the meeting. I was like, oh,
Nice.
okay. He's like, this is what slides should be, 5 slides. I never got down to 5 slides, never have, probably never will. Like I don't do things that simple.
Okay, 5 slides?
Oh yeah, it's like I went to
That's
MIT, Stanford, blah blah blah. I'm a team. The world doesn't have this. It's crazy. I can't believe it does it. The pain's so harsh. this is my solution, blah, 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 blah. Look how fast it's growing. People are using it. Oh, and then I need $2 million. And like those are the slides. You know what I mean? But like I've never functionally made a 5 slide deck. Like I never do things that simple. So, but it shouldn't be over 10. It should be tight.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna say I've seen 10. 10 is
yeah,
usually
10 I'm
I'm
good
good.
with. Like
Yeah.
yeah, five's for the ultra
Wow.
credentialed, I'm running Silicon Valley game. I want, whatever. So anyways, my point is like that's one point. But then like uh I think another key point was when I was in actually, yeah, I think I was in a program with Google for founders like 9 years ago. And I learned about, no, I was a little bit before that. I had just learned about storytelling, right? I met this dude who was like a top executive at like um, a big marketing agency, can't remember. And he came in to talk about storytelling and how they pitch. And I had done marketing and stuff. And I thought about storytelling in the context of marketing, but not in the context of pitching, right? And I started to realize that everything is a story. And if you frame things that way, people can get engaged and find themselves in it, and that can be exciting to them. So like when I realized that it's storytelling and then that if people didn't understand what I was saying, I was wrong, not them. You know what I mean? Like they don't get it, they don't get it. Well, you must not be fucking telling a story. Like I'll tell you, like 5-year-olds can watch movies and understand what's going on because the people are great storytellers,
Yes.
right? That also goes back to like, well, how did that white person raise this money? Blah blah blah. They're probably telling a hell of a story. It might not be true. They told a hell of a story to someone,
And the
right?
product might even not even
Right.
be that great, to be
Or
honest.
probably don't even exist. Like
Yeah.
there's a possibility that it could exist. I went to
Exactly.
MIT and let me tell you what I could do. And
Ugly.
you're like, you know what? I believe this man. Let me put 50 grand
Yeah.
up. Like self storytelling.
Very
So I
true.
think like those are a couple of big
Everything.
unlocks.
Everything is storytelling if you think about it. Whether you're starting a business trying to acquire customers, whether you're trying to acquire funding, whether you're trying to sell yourself to get a
Right.
job, it's all storytelling. Whether you're online creating content, you're telling a story that people can absorb, take, and remember. And it like penetrates them in a way.
Yeah, 100%. I think the last piece around just around process
Yeah.
and power dynamics. Like knowing that I'm coming in the room from a disadvantage in the first place, that's fine. So I'm gonna have to put a little bit more out in that room than the other person. They're not gonna be exactly where I'm at. That's okay. But I want to disarm these people. I want to know, like, you go skiing. I don't ski, but I'll make up something about, oh, I go to Tahoe, but I don't ski, but I like hot tubs, right? Like,
Exactly.
like how do I disarm you to be like, oh, you know what? This guy's kind of like me. I can dig into this. Like, it's just like anything. Like people hate to do it just because of like, I don't know what you call it, gender dynamics or whatever it is, but people hate to have the conversation. But the reality is like this business, like anything, everything's like relationships. Like you'll never just like walk up to the person you want to go out on a date with and just be like blah 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 blah. I'm great. I'm great. Great. Like you come into that conversation like with some conversation starter, hoping it's gonna roll into something where like you start to feel a connection. You can like finesse that into like, well, can I get your number? You know what I mean? They're like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Let's continue this conversation. That's the same thing that's happening in whatever business deal you're doing. Like you're trying to find that point of connection through which you can like finesse a longer term relationship that you think would be really great to have, right? Um,
And
and
speaking of relationships, I think that is another key component to, like securing funding is we see a lot of these, people having these relationships, whereas, maybe some of the people of color, Black founders, they didn't go to some of these Ivy League schools or, these particular country clubs,
right,
and they don't have those kind of set relationships that kind of give them the side door entry into funding. And
yeah,
to me, what I have seen is, they have to work 10 times harder, in order to get build those relationships. I think accelerators help,
yeah, they
so
can
many
help.
great things out there, but it's still, they are not getting the same amount of numbers. I think this is a really, I mean, you can Google this, I'm not making this up. It's like they're not getting those same numbers, that some of
Yeah,
the white founders are getting. So I'm going to ask you this, like, how do you build,
I'll be
as
honest
a
with
black
you.
founder with limited funding?
Say like 10 years ago when I was doing this, like, I'll tell you like, you gotta get out to the Bay. We have to you have to get out to the Bay now anyways because of AI, but like 10 years ago, I'd be like, you have to get out to the Bay. Um, You have to hustle around, go to meetups, try and get an accelerator, meet some people that way, find your champion, have that person make a bunch of introductions to their network, start building your network, blah, 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 blah. But now you still need to do some of these things. You need to run process and like you're going to meet 100 investors to get your few no or a few yeses or whatever as an early stage founder. But people like myself and some other folks who surrounded me and been around us for the past 15 years, we've 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 set the tone for Black people to be able to raise early stage capital, right? Like it's no longer impossible. Like 15 years, 10, 15 years ago, this is impossible. Like it was like 1 in 1 million chance for real. Like people were getting it, but it was very as far and few. And a lot of it, and most people who did it were through like very credential backgrounds, like Stanford, MIT, et cetera, right? Um, so like now the excuse is not like, can you get money? It's like, can you get the money that you should? You know
Yes.
what I mean? And that probably also goes back to what I said before about knowing your value. When you
Mm.
start dealing with money, people start getting into the mode of like, well, they're gonna give me like this. I'm like, is that what you want? Do you even like them? Do you want to work with them? Like people are afraid to run a real process to run money. To get to raise the right money. They're like, I mean, these people said they're gonna give me the money, right? So oftentimes you're like, if someone says you're gonna give me $2 million, well, I'll take it. But like, would you do that? Like, just wander again, relate it back. Would you just wander into a bar and meet someone? Well, hey man, like I want to marry you. Great. You say you got all the money in the world, all the things. Great, let's do that. No, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't because it's a marriage. This is the connection. You start bringing in C-level people in your company. You got co-founders. You bring in venture investors.
See?
These are long-term relationships. I just talked to a dude who invested in Pilotly 9 years ago. He's like, how long have we been doing this now? I was like, 9 years, man. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, you done pushed every angle on this thing. Like, are you gonna land the plane? I was like, yeah, man, let's land the plane. It's like, all right, bet. Like, like, but it's a long time, right? This ain't no like money you never see this person again. The person has people to answer to too if they're a VC. So I'm just kind of like saying it to say like, I think right now, uh, people like me have the ability to raise, $2, $3 million pre-seeds, $3, $4 million seed rounds. That's all possible. The people who's really doing it though, they know their value and they run a process. Some people get preemptive money, and then like that can be damaging because you don't get the right people. You get to your next round, and you still have the right people around you to help you go to the next stage. But the people who's really doing it are running process and knowing their value. And like people will say they're going to give them $1 million, and they'll say no. That's
Mhm.
the most powerful thing you can do. Because you imagine someone says, oh, man, I want in. I'm gonna give you, so whoever says going to give you $1 million, they want in. You tell them no, they were like, no. How can I get in? Like it's not they're gonna stop coming for you. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you're throwing away a grant check or something. It's gonna go to someone else. No, they want it to give it to you, right? So it's like people have to understand like they gotta pick and choose their partners and they're in the driver's seat because you're the entrepreneur. And it feels crazy to be like, no, I won't take that. But if someone was willing to say they give it to you, particularly as a Black person, there's many other people who can give it to you. All
That's
right.
so true. Gosh, it's so good. It's like just reminding founders that they're in the driver's seat is such an important takeaway. And if you think about that, you brought up such a important point about like it being a long-term relationship. You want to also have, VCs around you that's going to invest in you too. That's going to help you win, not just give you the money, but also really want to build you up, in the process. And I think that relationship should offer not just the capital, but also be like a relationship that builds in a lot of different ways, and I've seen some of the best partnerships, not I have to shout out, Goodwater Capital is a company that I used to work for, but they, take the time to understand their founders and really pour into them in a lot of different ways. And I think that's really important, as you're growing because you're doing something that's never been done before. Like
Mhm.
a lot of founders, they are building something that's never been built before, or even if it has been built, has been done your way, and so like you want to continue to grow, with the business, but also like make sure that you have partners, I should say, that can continue to help you grow.
Yep.
Yeah. Now talk to me about this because right now I know you're seeing it. like all these folks on the market, particularly, Black votes, we are definitely heavily on the market. We saw the, loss of jobs just like a couple months ago, where it was like 300,000 Black women, just
I
sitting
thought it was
in
at
the
like
market.
600,000 or something. I thought it
Yeah,
was
well, now it's up to 600. Yeah,
yeah.
it's incredible numbers, and I've never seen this, in all the years that I've been hiring, which is about 15, 16 years. Like I've never seen this before. How are you thinking about hiring for your organization right now, Pilotly? And also tell us a little bit about Pilotly and if you are hiring.
Oh, sure. So Pilotly is a market research platform. We test creative content for some of the largest creators in the world. So TV shows, films, ads, podcasts. And we're a small but mighty team. Um, and like we're probably gonna like do some hiring in Q1, Q2. But there's also a lot of hiring that's not taking place because of automation that I'm able to implement, right? So there's like a combination of, yeah, there's some people we want to put in place who are super special, and there's like a lot of like mundane work that can be fully automated, right? So I've been doing a lot of work around upskilling and shifting people to be able to leverage like AI as a companion to like accelerate their job and create efficiencies and give them the space to do other things. Uh, I would say right now for me, it's actually kind of tough. Being in the Bay, I'm at the kind of epicenter of what's going on in terms of artificial intelligence, and 95% of my team is not. They're not here. We're dispersed across the world. We got people in Japan, London, Singapore, like Brazil, all kinds of places. You know what I mean? And like the further you get away from this epicenter, the less you know about what's going on. No matter what YouTube video you watched or whatever, that shit changes like next week.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's been really interesting. I think that's also driving more people to build businesses where people are in the office.
Hmm.
At least some portion of them, the portion of them who have great subject matter expertise, can like basically offer visibility and proper direction to people who are leveraging AI to build. You kind of want those people in one place. They're whiteboarding and collaborating. But it has been a challenge because uh, different people react to change in different ways.
Yes,
And it's a lot to manage people's mental shift around what is happening because they're not living it. I'm delivering it to them myself, right? So it almost feels like I am I don't know, the storm. Like I'm the storm. No, I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. I
exactly.
mean, I'm telling you what's happening here, and I am pressing upon you to like dive in and think about the world differently, And it's like people push back. Well, I don't want to hear about the hype.
Hmm.
Oh, it's like I'm trying to help you understand where the world's going before you actually see it. And that's a tough thing right now. So going back to like all the layoffs and whatnot, I think as people naturally, just like anything, like general population gets a cold, we catch a flu,
Hmm.
right? And it's like when we need to remove people, well, who's going down? Like people are running back layoffs because the market is worried about AI bubble or worried about like people building agents and putting them in the office. Like, um, I think there's a lot of reactionary stuff happening right now. But right now it's like random. Right now it's reactionary, and some of it's like strategic around conserving capital to do other things with the money. But we haven't even really like entered the actual like storm of what will happen when there is like this change. Because I think too often where I get a little, we'll call it frustrated, but like where I feel like my words aren't landing with people. And when we're talking about AI as a concept, people are like, well, 75% of investors are investing in like AI startups right now. Isn't that a bit of a bubble? And it's like, that's like being in 99 and being like, well, 75% of investors are investing in internet companies. Well, it's the internet. Like, that's literally going to be the future of your life. You're going to live on the internet in 10 years, right? I've been living on the internet well before that. So
Yes,
I
absolutely.
wasn't confused, right? But for everybody else in the world who had not been, they were
Mhm.
like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Mhm.
Right? The only problem is we just ramped the value on that, made it available to the public market, ran up crazy valuations on a bunch of other people's money. Like, and when the stuff didn't sustain, they like pulled out, fell apart. Right now, AI is not like widely available in the public markets, right? Like people who manufacture stuff like NVIDIA are and Microsoft, but like the people like, your Perplexity and these types of things, these things aren't public companies. So like, yeah, there's some bubble stuff out there, right? But when it falls, it's not the public market. It's not people's 401ks. Like it's not a global market thing right now. So I'm not too concerned about it. But in the day, like what's going to happen is going to be a wild transition. And
Yes.
right now, I'm more concerned about like the policy around it and how we're planning for succession of the country for like a fourth
Yes.
industrial revolution. Like, forget I'm using GPT and I can like do my work. Like, we're we're in the current moment, we're in a world where like a lot of jobs can be replaced by agents. You know what I'm saying? They're just not it's not done wildly yet, but like there are companies who have like onslaughts of agents that run departments that used to have people, right? Maybe there's a couple of humans in the loop to keep quality up and have visibility, but like we're just kind of like scratching the surface of that, right? Like
Absolutely.
our children will live in a world where they always go to work with an agent, right? Like
I just don't think people have quite
not digested that.
they haven't digested it yet.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are slow to change.
Hmm.
And also it's so foreign, even for people, in their 40s, 50s trying to use like Chat GPT, it's like they're using it in the most basic way. And so like the thing that I'm, my wish, for not just people in it, but also the people kind of the guardians of it is to put more guardrails up.
Hmm.
And I think that they didn't, I know they predicted it to move fast, but I don't think they predicted it to
No,
move
nobody
as
did
fast.
because
It's impossible.
people don't even know how the product they built
Yeah.
works.
Exactly.
So they don't know how
So
fast
well
it can
said.
go. They're trying to keep up with it,
Exactly.
right? Like they have no idea.
Which is why I feel like they should have put guardrails initially, before
But
rolling it out to the
but I
public.
think it's impossible to think that because you
Really?
you didn't think it could do these things. You thought it could do some things, but all the things it does, you're just discovering as you test it. As you prompt engineer and like pressure test what it can do, you get surprised every day, and you realize, shit, I guess someone could come in here and figure out how to make a nuclear bomb. We should probably have guardrails on that, right? Someone can make a biological weapon with this. We should probably guardrail that, right? Like, but you don't know what you don't know because you don't know what this thing can think of and or do or how it will react to things. All you can do is like play with it until you figure out a guardrail, right? When some companies are doing that, some companies are just building, 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 and not being concerned,
No,
right?
that's where I think
But you
there's
need policy for
maybe,
that.
yes, exactly. Policies, guardrails. But I do like AI does excite me, and also like there is a little fear just on the human side, because of all the things we don't know. And but the excitement of it is the barrier to building is
It
so
is
it's
non-existent.
minimal. It doesn't even exist
It doesn't
anymore.
exist. I talked to a
So
guy this morning.
like,
The guy this morning, MIT guy, hella smart. He was like, I just don't know. Like, I'm getting older. I feel like, do I really have the time to learn like a new thing? I was like, dude, you don't have to learn anything. You're an engineer. You're a systems thinker. You understand how people work, the user stories that drive them to use products, and what you should build for them. That's literally all you've been doing your whole career. So all you need to do is use your words within this prompt, and out comes product. Like, there's nothing to learn here. All
no.
you gotta do is go use. You might break it a couple times, but go use it.
Okay. Yeah. And you're an
And
engineer, you'll figure
right,
it
and
out.
48 hours later, you're building product. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is crazy.
And even for non-engineers, it's like, like I'm not
Right.
technical. I mean, I'm somewhat, but not that technical.
But you can do it.
But I can do it, and it's amazing to me, what can be done. And
Yeah.
also, like I said, it's like it allows me to take like some of my wildest dreams and make them happen.
It's a reality. My sales guy's building product.
Unbelievable.
My sales guy, like we got tired of paying for HubSpot and
Yeah.
Salesforce was no good. None of this stuff. I didn't like any of it. We was like, let's have our own. So I set him up. He just builds. He needs a new feature. He builds it, launches it, and it helps the sales process.
That's what I think we're going to see more and more of. And so, for job seekers on the market right now, a large part of my coaching is getting them outside their comfort zone, stepping out of fear and into just childlike excitement and being green at something. Like it's
Mhm.
okay, and
Right.
learn.
I think 'cause, yeah, you're older, right? So you've known your job and what you do for so long, right? Like, so that's a very good assessment. Like, as an entrepreneur, I'm like, oh shit, new stuff.
Yeah,
Let's,
let's
right?
go.
As a normal human being, you're like, what? I got a degree and like this is my career and blah blah blah. Well, it's over. So like, would you like to like just not have a career in 5 years? Are you gonna be rich by then? Are you gonna be cool? Or like are you gonna go back to grade school and be comfortable with that? Because like literally the people who work at some of these companies don't know how this stuff works. So like why would you know? Like no one knows. It's not taught in school. Like everybody's gotta go back to kindergarten.
Yes.
It's okay. You know
But
what I mean?
it's like the ego mind won't allow certain people to do that.
Yeah.
Like I have spent years acquiring all this knowledge and now I'm able to do it with AI. It's like, great, that is how the world works. Like
Right.
we're constantly going to be evolving in so many different ways. So it's like you have to as well.
And more importantly, when you do have that level of expertise like this guy has, you can 10x yourself.
Hello.
The person who's not you, they're not going to be able to do what you do in 48 hours. It's going to take them weeks. The person who's been building product with engineers is going to excel greatly using the software, right? Like you're not unfamiliar with what a database is or any of this. You know exactly how it works. That's what you got to communicate with it. Your whole job has been translating business needs into engineering requirements. If that's been your job, you can build anything. Like I mean, you can 10x yourself. So, but you have to get you have to have that comfort level.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Talk to me about your hiring philosophy. Like this is something that I'm always so
Uh,
curious about with founders. Like, you and I talked about just evaluating, motivation, fit, values. But like how have you refined that framework over time and like how do you, do that as you're thinking about Q1 and hiring?
so for me, it goes, it's, company to company. I always like establish what are the values for the thing that I'm building, right? Like
Mhm.
what is the mission? What are the values that we hold, right? And then I try and like come up with questions that help me understand whether or not we're value aligned in some cases. And so like there's always like an initial interview where, yeah, I'm trying to understand like, your background, what makes you want to work here and all that. But through that process, I'm trying to understand the value alignment and how your skills align with the job, right? But then we'll dive in further and see like more application-based use of your skill set and like how it's going to fit in the job that we're looking for. And sometimes I find people I'll be like, "Ooh, maybe this job ain't right for you with this other position because like I like the value alignment, but your skill alignment isn't perfect for this position, but it's good for this other one, right?" So bring up that opportunity, see what they think. Maybe it's not what they're looking for. I'm not looking for someone who just jumps on the thing that they didn't apply for because they should be looking for something they really want. But like I do that, and then like um, I always bring another person into the mix to like get feedback on what do they think? Do they believe their value align? Like have I measured this properly? Like get some sort of good check there. And then like you know we typically depending on how junior the hire is, like that might be the end of the story. But then if like it's a more senior hire, we'll bring in the head of people. She'll ask a series of questions that she understands like the dynamics of the organization culturally and double check that piece. But we're really checking for like high mission alignment, uh, like work ethic, like hard workingness. Like where's that at? We like that to be kind of high, but it can be like 75%. But if like your mission aligned will automatically drive these other two things. If I'm dealing with uh like executive hires for sure, like very rarely am I not gonna like meet this person in person.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that because your company is so dispersed, all over the world.
saying?
How do you, because a lot of it has to be virtual, and
I mean, I'll fly somewhere, but we have team retreats and stuff like that. So
mhm.
a lot of the big hires we've done like that have been like right around the team retreat. So they'll come through and we'll meet them, and it's always worked. So it's worked out. But
Actually smart. A lot of people don't think like that. Like I
yeah,
kind of like that. Like, but it goes back to like your ability to plan, and to think about your company and when you need what, when.
Mhm.
So the other thing that I tend to hire for, my background's people leader, in various tech companies, and I tend to look for all those things that you mentioned, and also like a culture addition. Like what can they add to the culture? What can they add to the values that like up level it in some kind of way?
Mhm.
And how are they thinking about the role? like not just doing the job. That's wonderful. A lot of people can do the job that come through applicant tracking systems, right? But like, how are they going to think of the job in a way that we didn't think of? I mean, none of us are actually doing that role. If we could, we would have just already done it. We're
Yeah,
hiring you to think about the role in a way that we didn't think about it. That's
actually,
something that I look for.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. Like, I think that happens to me inadvertently, but I should probably take more of
Mhm.
a like concerted effort to make sure I get that piece of the puzzle. But also, like, I think that's going to become even more important because,
Yes, exactly.
if I can use AI to do this, like, what differentiates you from like me building an agent to do it, right? Like, because there should be a difference with the person who's qualified to do the job. Like, I want to know, like, you're like, ooh, I see you're doing it this way, but actually, we should do X, Y, Z because the, A, B, C. Like, that's the person that you want. I don't want a person who's just here to take orders, agent to take orders. Like that world of like, do this task is gonna dissipate. We need people who think of what the strategy should be and like plug in the right place and then use tools to do it most efficiently.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It reminds me of Tim Grover's book, Relentless.
Hmm.
I've read this book, but if not, definitely get it in your reading list. It's a great one. But he has these three different types of people, and it's the cooler, the closer, and the cleaner.
Mm.
And when I'm interviewing people, I take a look at that. Like the cooler, and I'll use a sports analogy really quickly for the sake of time, but the cooler is somebody that has great games, but they're
Mm.
inconsistent. They're almost like order takers, they're not
Hmm.
taking too much risk. They're always looking for the pats on the back, like that's not necessarily the employee you want to hire right now. Now there are some roles that you need that, right?
Right,
But where we are with AI, like you can create an agent for that.
right.
So like what I try and look for is the closer and the cleaner. Now the cleaner is like a one percenter. It's like I think of like a Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, those
Right.
are cleaners, a Tom Brady,
Right.
people who are doing things that they don't just have, good seasons like the cleaner, or excuse me, the
Hmm.
closer. They have great careers.
Hmm.
So those are cleaner. So when I look for, depending on the roles, right? Like I look for people and kind of like, I try not to just place people in buckets, but it's a nice kind of differentiator. Like, and you can see like people that are really thinking about the roles and, thinking about doing things that haven't really been done before. Like those are the people you want in those leadership positions.
Yeah, 100%. Uh,
Yeah. So
yeah, right now, like it's unlike any time that you need those types of people around. Yeah, which is just unique.
yes, absolutely.
Um, yeah, it's interesting time. So it's nice time to be a CEO. You got to make some interesting decisions around what you can do with your organization, and it's an interesting time to be an employee. Like, you know, things are changing. What should I be doing different? Like, I don't even know. I don't even know what I don't know. Like, how do you navigate that, right? And then we won't go off onto this tangent, but it doesn't help what's going on in DC either. So like the combination of both is just overwhelming for individual.
Exactly. But also, like, I'm seeing so many people on the market that have not even had to try and get a job for the last 10 years. They have
Hmm.
no idea how to navigate this market right
That
now.
looks like, yeah.
Like I have a friend, just, I won't say the company or anything, but she had been with the company through multiple acquisitions, 25 years
Wow.
and now is on the market. Now she's excited because she's like, wow, what's next?
Right.
So she's like, how do I navigate this thing?
Hmm.
We're seeing a lot of that too. Like the thing that I would say, if you can't necessarily afford a coach, like create a coach within AI.
Oh yeah, 1%.
Create something that will be almost like something you can feed, but also a sounding board, and give you things to think about that you hadn't thought about.
Hmm.
It's a mentor, somebody that's in positions that maybe you want to strive for, but get in a community of some sort, whether it is a community that will help you navigate because you can't navigate right now on your own. It's just we're in these times where we got to lean on each other and
Hmm.
seeing that more and more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how do you, as a founder, creator, all the things that you're doing, on a global scale, how do you take care of yourself? How do you continue to keep your energy up so you can do all the things that you're doing?
Well, my mornings like today, I was supposed to go for a run, but I didn't wake up early enough, so my running partner departed without me. But I try to go for my little runs, find some sort of exercise in the mornings. I recently realized maybe I should try and do it with like no headphones or anything. And just like have no noise and just see what I hear in the world and just run. I find it a little bit challenging because I like to run two rhythms. But I did it one day. I was like, okay, that works. Like I feel refreshed. I do, I try and meditate every morning. I should try and do it a couple times a day, but I try and do it every day in the morning and stretch and all that. So like that's part of my routine. Um, More recently, with like the way I'm using AI and building things and all that, I'm finding myself, I never did this in my life before, but I'm finding myself now where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like put my computer in a place that I can't really easily get to and just not touch it.
That's good.
Um, because it's so crazy now where like at any point in time I'm usually like generating code, doing something and just trying to depart from that for some period of time. So just finding your space. There's lots of work to be done, but like I'm trying to find the balance of what is enough.
Mhm.
Not, as in normal work, you do your 9 to 5, blah, 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 but like the stuff that you can do technically now to support like the work that you do on a daily basis, you're condensing like what would have been months of work or a year of work into weeks and days. And so like if you're able to do that, like, do you need to do more hours? Right. Like, I need to do more, or kind of just say, you know what? Today was a productive day. You only work 4 hours, but like I did 4 weeks of work. So like let me just chill out, not do something for a few hours, right? Go walk or something, and then like come back to it tomorrow, right? Um, I think I'm exploring like what it looks like to work a little differently because
Mhm.
I could easily just stay on this computer and like not stop.
Especially when you're naturally programmed, to do
Yeah.
like that's your like for me, I'm a worker. Like it's very difficult for me
Hmm.
some cases, not all, because I've gotten a lot better. That's my growth. But at one point, it was very difficult for me to not work. Like, I'm like, this is what gives me energy. Like, why wouldn't
Hmm.
I? But I realize that there's other things that can give you energy too. You just have to give it a chance.
Right. I gotta give them a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Like, and so now with AI, I'm like, I cut my time, like a lot of the mundane tasks I was doing, I could just cut it in half, So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, now I'm going to use that time to just be, and like,
Yeah.
I think as humans, especially people of color, where we've just had to
You
work,
need
work, work,
that.
work,
You
work.
need that time. It seems crazy because you're not doing
I
anything.
know.
But my boy the other day, he was like, "No, I am doing something. I'm with purpose doing nothing. Like I am working to do nothing right now. Like
Yeah.
like
But your body, you're doing something by recharging your body.
exactly.
That's the gift that we rarely give ourselves. And I think we're
Yeah.
getting better now because we understand just how important it is,
Hmm.
but it's still a learning curve in all of it.
Yeah. It's learning curve. But yeah, my friend said he just once a month I order a bunch of magazines. I wear as little clothes as possible. I sit in the bed. I turn on the light. I said today's magazine day. And I just like read magazines all day. Like that's what I do. Um, but like, yeah, finding that space that you can, you know, yeah, just not be concerned. But even just being and doing nothing is the
Yes.
thing. Even if you just do it for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Now,
Mhm.
if people are interested in connecting with you, where could they find you? And also tell us like what's next for Pilotly.
Well, you can easily find me usually like on LinkedIn. And I don't really use Twitter anymore because Elon's there. I use we got Black Ops as Instagram, Black Ops VC underscore at most things. And yeah, so Piley, what's next? I mean, we already kind of on it. Like we have a pretty impressive AI model that could really change a lot of things in media, from like recommendations of streaming platforms to just how market research is done to like determine what comes on screen. So I'm just excited about like socializing that and meeting with different people in the industry who feel like they could use it. It's no walk in the park, having like large Fortune 100 companies leverage an AI model that you built, even no matter how excited they are. But I'm just kind of interested to like take that journey, see what that looks like. What's the possibility there? So it's kind of like the final frontier for Pilotly. We've been in this tech company in the space for so long. We're also a great research company that came later, but now like the combination of the two with AI, I think is a compelling proposition. So excited to see, what we do next year.
Love it. Well, the last thing I'll ask you, and something that really stuck with me just about you and your calling, but you said your calling is to advance Black equity.
hmm
How do you stay connected to that mission and navigating all the changes that we just talked about, but also just the systemic barriers that are happening?
So I don't consider I'm almost never concern myself with systemic barriers. I can't concern myself with the problem. I only concern myself with like the special things that I can do that other people can't. So I'm like, I can't change that. So that's how you're gonna move. That's how you're gonna move. So I'm gonna like move this way and go around that barrier and do X, Y, Z. So I can't concern myself. Talk to a dude today. It's like, you don't think my mind's open about this? I am open, but it's like technology always hurts people who look like me. I'm like, well, don't let it hurt you right now. You can literally take control of this shit. No one has control. You could take control right now. You could literally replicate GPT if you want to. Start your own thing. Like, there's no barriers. So like you can complain about what technology do to you, or you can just go take care of it yourself. So like part of it's like I don't concern myself with that stuff and just focus on the things I can do. But I stay connected to it on a couple different wavelengths. Like obviously I have Transparent Collective, my nonprofit that helps women and people of color scale tech companies. We're doing a huge AI house next year. We're raising money for that. I want people to come live in the Bay, live in the house, get immersed, get access, get capital, go back to where you came from, build, be the bridge, right? Like so like that's important. Obviously, I run a venture firm. We invest in the people that we have unfair access to and have ability to accelerate, right? That's a particular type of person. So like we stay connected through that. Um, but ultimately, like I stay on this track and I'm able to do so because um, a lot of people don't screw even people. I mean, a lot of people who look like us. A lot of people don't really believe in what I'm doing. You feel good about it. You feel it should be. People like the feeling of equity, right? Like people like that feeling. I'm not actually looking for equity in tech. I think too many white people are funded. I don't want to see as many black people funded as those people. I think there's too many. There's too many people building companies, should be building companies that don't need to exist. I'm just the equity to me is like, are the people who are building something great have access to what they need, right? And it might be 1,000 people, it might be 1,500 people, it might be 5,000 people. It's not 100,000 people. People need to know like there's not 100,000 people who are going to build companies that should have venture capital. It's not real. Like there are a fine few that build things that can go to scale and do interesting things that build enough value for it to be backed by venture capital. Like find the person doing something more interesting than you're doing and go join them. Like team up and build something crazy. Like 90% of black founders are solo founders. That has to stop. You gotta like get together with people and build something, do something interesting. And so what I'm saying is like very few people truly do believe, and I do believe. You know what I mean? Like um, it it is. I had the privilege of telling my son, which is just crazy because like I never had this kind of talk, even though my family was in the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, all that, right? Like, but I never had the conversation of like how great being black was. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you grow up around black people and be like, yeah, black, black this, like, little black church, whatever. But like, no, like the solid conversation around why functionally is one of the best things in the world to be. You know what I mean? Why we build culture every day? Because it's so young. It's the youngest culture in the world. The privilege I have, the things I do in my lifetime will be defining as to what it is to be black, right? I'm a part of the story of defining what a population of people is and will be. This shit goes back to fucking 700 AD, 17th, 16th century stuff. You know what I mean? Like as a Black person, you literally the things you walk and do throughout your lifetime have a market effect on what it means to be that thing. And so like knowing the power that we have in doing that, then like in the meaning behind the things that we do, our conviction in the way we will go down with the ship is in a way that no one else will. So like the work that we will do to make things happen can't be matched. You know what I'm saying? So like I have a deep belief in the people in which I have access to and work with. Um, and because of our different live life experiences and how we articulate things, and how we relate to people, our ability to build things now in a world where like technology allows us to not need to know technology, it's a time unlike any other. Like it's never existed. So there was any time that you were going to level set what was going to happen, that is now. And there's never been another time like it. And I only hope that like people grasp onto that and figure it out.
Take advantage.
Hmm.
I love that you mentioned that about systemic barriers, and here's the thing, they're there. We're not denying that they're not there, but then what? It's like, how are you going to allow that to define you? It's like you got to go around it. You have to create a way to get through the barriers in a way that penetrates. That's what I've always seen. Like, I don't understand. Like, if I set my goal to do something, like, there's nothing that's going to stop that goal.
Right. So what
Like,
I'm saying, so you constantly have the conversation around, well, yeah, white people do that, but you gotta work 2 times as hard, or this or that. These are all barriers. These are all like psychological barriers. Like you must do something that someone else, like it's setting you up to try and like thwart the system in a way that is like based on like burning yourself out. Like as
what's
opposed
getting
to
you to
like,
believe it?
right, you should believe it. Like I believed it. I believe if I can work the hardest, boy, I'll raise the most money. Nope, uncorrelated. Uncorrelated, right? So like these are just things that we have to understand. Like, okay, that's how it's gonna be, it's how it'll be. I'm gonna go this way, I'll see you back this way when you're trying to like give me this money because you realize like how much money I can make for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. But I think it's going back to what you said earlier. It's like finding your unique value, understanding it, and then using it to your advantage. And I
Right.
really do believe that as Black founders, Black creators, we have a unique advantage
Right.
in our Blackness. Thank you. This was
Thanks for
amazing.
having me.
Amazing conversation. I appreciate you. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck. In any way that I can be supportive in anything that you're doing, please let me know.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
And as always, everyone, have an amazing Sunday and do us a favor. Leave your favorite part about this conversation with James in the comments below, or maybe something new that you learned or a gem that he dropped. Bye.